it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. No movie reviews this week. I want to jump right in and talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which, as you might recall, I finished last week. I have basically spent the past week just going around and collecting whatever, just wandering aimlessly and just checking out all the places on the map with the little blue and white and yellow glowy dots to see what they are and collect them and do them. And so far it's been fine because I actually enjoy the world events because much like when I play a game, I don't skip cutscenes because they took the time to write that dialogue. Actors took the time to perform that dialogue, and programmers took the time to animate the characters performing to that dialogue. So a lot of work went into it, and I just feel like I want to respect that by enjoying it. So someone took the time to make all of these different world events, and I'm just like, I would like to see them all, please. So I'm still doing that. I worry that it'll get a little boring because there's no story. I'm just randomly doing stuff. But I still got that section of England that I've still not pledged to yet. So there's that whole quest arc that I can still do. So if I get a little bored with the little nonsense, I can always go back and do that just to give me some story motivation to keep playing. And I'm also hoping that that section, I can't remember the name of the town, there's a city in the middle of it that it surrounds, and you already had to do that city by itself first. That was part of the main game, and it was one of those distrust areas where the guards will attack you if they see you, so you had to put up your hood and sneak around and whatever. And I thought, well, once I finish the quest and I get them on my side, I'll be able to move about freely, and then I can go after all the wealth and the artifacts and stuff in the town. Unfortunately, it did not happen that way, and at the end of the quest, now they really hate me and they'll kill me on sight. So I've not gone back there because it's a pain in the butt. So I'm hoping that this final epilogue quest might change that, but I don't know. Don't spoil it for me if you do. But yeah, I've just been going around collecting the wealth, and I went back to get some legendary animals, and I killed those 3 witches, which I avoided from when I was not leveled up enough. Now they're much easier to defeat, and I went and got the final piece of the Thor armor, which turns out it was not the final piece. I thought defeating the 3 witches and then taking their swords and then going in and opening up the lock and getting the Thor armor, I thought that was the final piece, but it's not. There's still one more piece. There's the hood/cape. I don't know where that is. I'll have to figure that out. Because I would like to try to complete everything I can complete. Because I know I can't complete all of the mysteries. Because some of those mysteries are those Animus glitches with the really super hard platforming. And that's never going to happen, so I'm never going to 100% it, but I would like to collect everything I can. Everything I am able to collect. Oh, there was one other thing I want to talk about, which is the past couple of weeks my PlayStation has been doing that thing where I put it to sleep and then it won't wake up again. It's super annoying. Then it would wake up, but when I put it to sleep, the VR power box, that you plug the PSVR headset into, that would just stay on, and it would just be, and I would have to unplug the power cord because it wouldn't go to sleep with the PlayStation. But then unplugging the power cord turned that off, except I noticed that my PlayStation 4 was still kind of warm to the touch, all night and the next day. So it clearly wasn't going to sleep properly either. And I started to get concerned, and I was happy when there was a system update this past week for the PS4, and I thought maybe that would fix it. It did not. Because sometimes right after an update, it does this, and then sometimes it just randomly does this, and then an update will somehow fix it magically, and I have no idea what this problem is. It's been happening for years. It's super annoying, but I blame it on the VR thing because I feel like it didn't start until after I plugged in the VR headset. So somehow bypassing, going through the VR bypass and then to the TV, like that VR thing, it's just screwing something up with putting it to sleep. So anyway, I don't want to break my PlayStation 4 because I don't want to have to go out and buy a new PlayStation 4 right now, because I would rather just get a PlayStation 5. Of course, that's not possible right now, but so I really need to protect my PS4. So I basically just said, forget it, and I unplugged it from the VR, and I'll just plug in the VR when I want to play a VR game, which is rare. It's usually just it's just Valhalla right now. So I'm like, okay. But when I did that, and now it goes directly from the PlayStation to my TV, it turned on HDR, and I was like, what the hell? And I know that HDR, because I have this new 4K HDR TV with Dolby Vision and everything, and it's supposed to be like all amazing and everything, and I don't think it looks that great. I find that things in HDR tend to look very dark and muddy, so I don't understand how this can be high dynamic range when everything just looks muddy. Like, where's those colors? Where's the brightness? And where's the rich blacks and the richer colors? I'm just like, come on, like, I don't get it. So I went into my PlayStation settings, and there's this whole thing where you like at the beginning of a horror game where they're like, adjust the brightness so that you can just see the logo. But I always leave it a little more just because I don't want the game to be too dark. I like to see what I'm doing. But here, they're like, it was that brightness thing, and you're supposed to adjust it. Like, there's like 3 different adjustments that you make. And after I did that, I feel like the game looked a little better. I also adjusted my TV, because my TV was defaulting to like cinema settings, even though it's in game mode, because it's a PlayStation. It went for like the darker, richer, moodier lighting, and I'm just like, no, then it looks too dark. So I brightened everything up a little bit, and now it seems fine, because I would like to try to enjoy this 4K HDR. I mean, obviously it's not 4K because it's a PS4, but I'd like to enjoy my TV if it could make things look awesome. It never really seems to, but whatever. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and why I'm wearing my Bob Ross shirt, is there was a surprise release on the Switch that I did not know was coming, and that is Colors Live. I didn't even realize it was coming out, and my first instinct was to run out and get it. And then I realized, wait, no. Stop for a second. Stop and think. Because I had Colors 3D on my 3DS, and I actually dug out my 3DS and turned it on to see how much I actually did with it. And I did maybe a half a dozen paintings, 3 of which were finished, 1 of which is not even really a painting, it's just whatever. But I realized that what I would rather is that they bring back Art Academy, because Art Academy was amazing. Art Academy was fantastic. I had it on the DS and then again on the 3DS. The 3DS one was fantastic. You don't even know. Like, it's so good. Like, they programmed it in such a way that, like, there were different kinds of paper. There was smooth and there was rough, and there were different shades of gray and white and brown and tan, and then there were canvases. And when you're drawing, you can draw with pencils, and it actually looks like you're drawing with pencils. And then there was colored pencils and pastels, and then there was paint, and you could actually, it looked like you were painting. The paint reacted almost like real paint. So it ended up looking like a painting. And it could be like watercolory and wet, or it could be dry brush and rough, and it was fantastic. And the other great thing, other than it looking like real art, was that it taught you the techniques to use the tools effectively. And it basically teaches you, this is how you paint, and this is how you layer this, and this is how you layer that, and this is how you create this effect, and now, paint this. And working on their lessons, I went out, and I'm like, oh, I'll take a picture of these sunflowers, and then I will paint these sunflowers. And it was also nice because with the 3DS, the picture that you took, or were working from in the game, was 3D. So it was less like copying a photograph and more like working off a still life. So that was nice too. It was just more realistic. But I don't know how you could do Art Academy on the Switch because you don't have two screens. So I don't know how you would present the image that you're meant to be copying. But if they just did Art Academy, I would prefer, even without lessons, I would prefer it because the art tools look more like the actual art tools that they're replicating. Whereas with colors, it's like painting with Photoshop, and it's sort of like, and like my results in Colors 3D were not great. But I've seen images created with Colors Live that look gorgeous, and they look like paint. And I don't know how they do that. But I don't think the game's going to teach me how to do that. There is a challenge mode that they've included this time, but I don't think that it's like art lessons. It looks to be more like just inspiration to draw every day. You know, so you check in every day, and you're going to draw something every day, which isn't a bad thing. That I would appreciate being kind of nudged to draw every day. It would help get me to create, and it would, you know, maybe inspire me and get me drawing again, because I haven't really. You'd think being locked down in my house I would have turned to art, but I did not. Whatever. I escaped in video games. But like I said, my first instinct was to just run right out and buy it, but then I was like, well, no, I don't want to go to Best Buy and get the cartridge with the pen, because I'd rather it not be on a cartridge. This is something that you're going to play frequently, you know, like an Animal Crossing or a Ring Fit or a Wii Fit or whatever, where I'm going to go back to it. So I would prefer to have that downloaded, so I'm not switching cartridges every time I want to use it. So I can buy the game from the eShop for $30, and then I can go to the website and buy the pen for $25. So it's like an extra $5, but then it's downloaded. Although, if you go to the website, you can actually buy a download code for the game and the pen for $50. So that's the same as the physical copy, but it's a downloaded copy. You just have to wait for it to arrive in the mail. And so I think that's what I would end up doing. That would be the ideal way to go. Except for the fact that I don't know if I'm going to really like it. I'm waiting for reviews, but it's such a small release that there aren't any reviews. The only one I've seen so far is on ladygamer.com, and it wasn't particularly helpful. They just said how, here's what you can do, and these are the kind of things you do, and it's a lot of fun, and blah blah blah, and I'm not a good artist, but it's fun to try. And her only complaint was that if you have an early generation Switch, which unfortunately I do, you plug the pen, the light pen, you plug the stylus into the headphone jack, and then that powers it. And apparently on the original version of the Switch, sometimes it doesn't recognize it, and it gets a little tricky. You gotta wiggle it and finesse it. So that would be irritating too. But that was her only complaint. So I'm like, I need a better review. And even on Amazon, there was one review that was like 2 sentences that said it's a lot of fun, basically. And the other review basically just said, all it did was complain about how her boyfriend used it and was painting all night, and then she found that the stylus scratched the hell out of her screen because she didn't have a screen protector on it. And I'm just like, I don't like screen protectors, and I'd rather not scratch up my screen. I had not thought about that, but if that's a problem, I would like to know about it. Unfortunately, can't find any reviews anywhere. So I'm just going to wait and see. I wish there was a demo version of it. If there was a demo version of it in the eShop, that would be ideal, because then you could get like a sample of how it plays and how it works and some of the brushes that you can use, and it might make me feel a little better about spending the $50, but right now it's looking like it might be going on my Amazon wish list for Christmas, which would suck because then it would be a cartridge, but I'll deal. I could also just suggest to my husband that, I'm putting this on my Amazon wish list, but if you go to this website, you can get me the download code, and that would be better. Because they shouldn't give you a cartridge. It should just be a case, and you open it up, and there's a little download code inside. That's what it should be. Oh well. If you've tried Colors Live, let me know. I'm sure you haven't. Nobody is. There's no reviews anywhere. But anyway, this has gone on way too long, so I'm going to shut up now and let you get back to whatever you were doing before I distracted you. And I'll see you back here next week. Bye!